Perfect. And so, let's start off here with the future of spend management is now. So it's a bit of a, the 80s back to the future, but ultimately, we're going to talk about three specific areas, and one being, what are the forces driving spend management today? How is the term spend management evolving as it's being used quite ubiquitously? And ultimately, where is spend management going in the future? And so this is a bit about me, as I don't like to talk about myself in the third person. My background includes corporate finance, M&A, and investment banking. In the last about 13 years spent working within software businesses, as small as Series A and public company beyond. So let's jump right in. As we discussed, what are the forces driving spend management? So how have we gotten here today? Well, over the last 5 years, we've had companies like Marqeta that have advanced the payment rail technology and ultimately have allowed companies like Airbase to create the software-enabled card, right? And so what does that mean? So, well, we as fintech companies want to not just create a corporate card, we want to enable workflows behind it and approval workflows and transaction tracking. And that's really important, as that's some of the value add we provide above and beyond what the traditional corporate card could provide 10 years ago. And so the means by which these payment rails are advancing is happening on a monthly or quarterly basis, kind of like the innovation of the iPhone back in 10 years ago, where every 3 months or 6 months you saw a new version that was holistically different than the last. And so that it will continue to evolve here over the next 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. And so now, another force that's driving spend management is really the decentralized spending, the need for it. Well, clearly over the last couple of years, we've all seen and felt the need for decentralized spending, as we've all been removed from, and many companies and folks have been removed from their office-focused environments for work. And so decentralized spending has not just become an option, but it's really been forced upon many companies. And ultimately, modern companies have committed to a decentralized spending effort. As number one, it's an efficient way to deploy capital. Two, it's an ease of use that allows folks to run quickly. And however, both of those two benefits come with their downfalls, and that is it creates a problem of visibility and control. So in a world in where there's decentralized spending, how do we ensure that not only are the individual contributors of the company spending the plan, but how do we ensure that our leadership team is aware as to what their spend for their group is? Are they on target? Are they spending beyond the approved balances for a given month or quarter? And ultimately, in the past, that spend visibility has always been in arrears, meaning you would close your books and then you'd take a week or so to really cobble together all the Excel-based reporting, and then you'd show it to a leader and say, hey, you spent 100,000 over last month. And what good does that really do a month later? It's done, and they may actually already be on that pace to overspend in the current month, given the delay in closing the books and then reporting. And then three, the need for automation. So this one, we've seen a massive improvement with over the last 3-4 years, where how quickly are we as finance teams able to close our books faster by reducing the number of manual processes that don't scale. And that's the biggest effort. When you look at how can I build a finance organization that is the most efficient, you start to look at manual processes. You start to look at the software that's enabling those, that can enable those manual processes. And really what the automation provides is the ability for accounting and finance professionals to focus their efforts in areas that can potentially drive more revenue for the business, that can potentially actually save dollars for the company, and versus figuring out, did I get that last receipt that I need to close the books for the last month? And the biggest thing here is that the user base across the company, I'm sure, does and really go after them for all that last receipt to close the books. And then, as I mentioned earlier, this need for real-time data. Well, we are all pushing our businesses to spend dollars as efficiently and quickly as possible. And when that is the case, really, we're challenged by providing real-time insights. As an example, how do I know as a finance leader when I meet with our marketing team or the marketing leadership at any given company, marketing teams are often driving the largest dollar of program spend, right? As they're spending dollars on digital advertising, on demand generation, on lead generation, whatever you may call it at your company. And those are program dollars that are spent really quickly. And what you really want to understand is for that dollar I spent last week, especially in what you see, especially in B2C or business to consumer businesses, you need real-time insights to deliver value for how you can tweak your assumptions every week or even on a daily basis. So I spent that dollar last week in marketing. Now, did that drive any leads, an additional little leads in our funnel this week or this month? From the month we spent, depending on the lag in your business model. And so that's where the need for real-time data is one in which finance actually shifts from being this business unit that's reporting on historicals and actually one that's helping drive insights to leadership team members and business group orgs to de-risk their execution. And what does this provide? Well, everything around all non-payroll spend. And I know we use this term non-payroll spend here. What is non-payroll spend? It's everything that is not related to paying an employee. So that is 1, your expense reimbursements, 2, your accounts payable, bill payments, 3, ultimately your physical and virtual corporate cards. All 3 of those things combined into one software that drives real-time information and data. And then this need for visibility and control over spending, right? And so how do I know, especially in a decentralized spending environment where a lot of us are work from home, how do I know that my leaders around the company, the management around the company that owns budgets are spending effectively, wisely, and quickly? Well, you don't, as a finance org, we don't want to come in as the heavy hand that's, uses this word control consistently, as that makes other teams and leaders around the business feel suffocated, right? Because they want to control their own destiny. They want to run quickly. So how do we provide this type of control in an environment where people are not anywhere near you? And the only thing you have is your collaboration software to communicate with them, your Slacks, your Zooms, whatever you may use internally, your email. And so that is where the visibility and control is so important, providing specific controls over this physical card for this person at the company has a $300 spend limit next month. And the second it gets close to $300, a notification trips in Slack to the manager saying your direct report is close to their spending limit for the month. You may want to have a conversation with them around they're going to continue to spend the amounts, or they just spent it all quickly in the month, et cetera. How do you know your virtual corporate cards that you establish for potentially each one of your SaaS vendors for the business, example, AWS, that you may use for hosting, which can drive a very large dollar amount? How do you know where you are in that spend? And you want to have controls over it. So the second you start pulling dollars away from AWS monthly against a virtual corporate card, you're able to adjust the spend down, meaning you gave AWS $100,000 of budget in the month. When it gets to 100, they won't be able to charge a card anymore unless they have a conversation with you. So that's how you can bring in visibility and control in a way that's not too cumbersome for any stage of a business. And then here, the need for more streamlined tech stack. The world in where we had a bill payment solution, we had an expense reimbursement solution, we had a physical corporate card is over. It is horrible from a user experience as a salesperson, a marketing person, anyone outside of finance really who spends any types of dollars. And for us as finance, for having to train the rest of the company to use all these different solutions. So it's not a good user experience, and it's also not a good administrative experience. So this world of streamlining tech stacks is really important. And so today, what do we see around this consolidation around the concept of spend management, right? It's not a fully agreed upon term. Enterprise companies have had access to spend management, albeit through very, very expensive, cumbersome managed solutions. And small, mid-market, early enterprise companies have only recently had access with new fintechs, with companies like Airbase addressing their market needs. I remember 10 years ago being in strategic finance and feeling helpless when you were growing quickly at a business, going from 100 to 450 in 1 year, to how do I control the spend? How do I get visibility into it? It feels like I'm just, struggling to understand how each of my leaders at the business are spending. And the big thing here is many corporate card companies are calling themselves spend management companies, but in reality, they're just solving it from a single point of view, and that's the corporate card, your physical or virtual card. And legacy companies like Expensify and Bill.com are starting to add more features, and they're starting to build towards spend management. And newer businesses, newer companies are adding either card, bill payment, and or reimbursement to their products. So really, spend management is consolidating around the concept of administrating all non-payroll spend. So that's corporate cards, bill payments, and employee reimbursements. So, where are these forces taking us for the future? Where are we going in the future with spend management? Today is amazing, but what could be in the next 2, 3, 4 years? Well, the future will continue to automate more of our complex workflows, which is great for us in finance and accounting, right? We do want more automation. None of us want to be sitting here doing manual 1099 reporting, manual amortizations and accruals. I know I did not, and I know that we see provide this value today, and it will only get better as time goes on. Payments from foreign bank accounts, right? International subsidiary support, FX, conversion. And then the future will have more integrations for spend management to other software. Examples being your budgeting and planning software to support FP&A. Some amazing advancements are happening in the FP&A software now, where in the past you used to have these really, really cumbersome planning tools that your SAP to 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 employee companies. And until you had that, you lived in Excel, which was really hard. Well, that's changing with the advent of your, adaptive insights, ANA plans, and then even companies at the smaller end that are addressing SMB and mid-market needs. And so spend management software will integrate to the FP&A software that you're leveraging to provide more real-time insights, to understand budget awareness. And then integrations into your HRIS are important. They're happening today. We are doing it here at Airbase, where you will ultimately know your org structure at the business. And with knowing the org structure, having perfect advanced approvals built for each persona. Example, certain approvals and dollar amounts for your VP level folks at your business, certain levels and dollar amount approvals for your manager level employees at the company. And other areas for which spend management will be integrating around the security software and even contract and vendor management systems. So think about your legal team's workflows. Ultimately, they are spending non-payroll dollars, right? And so how can you start to integrate with the contract management systems they're leveraging to pull the most important terms into your spend management system? And one of the biggest things that we believe here too is the future will include systems that are corporate card agnostic. So what does that mean? To leverage, as an example, to leverage our Airbase software, you don't have to use our Airbase corporate card. If you are an SVB customer, you can use SVB cards and still leverage Airbase software. And with the recent announcements, we'll have support with Amex and other businesses. And so really what that means is that we are the software provider, and our customers can use other corporate cards, and we will partner with those businesses. And so leaders are paving the way in spend management. Airbase, I know, our CEO has, from the core of it, believed that we are building a software workflows business, not a business that is here to offer credit to companies. That is but a feature we offer. But the real feature really in spend management is the software and the workflows you build. So the leaders are paving the way and who solve for the consolidation of all non-payroll spend, as we mentioned, those three things. We provide excellent real-time reporting, create deep integrations to multiple systems that enrich this non-payroll spend management software. and automate workflows in ways that delight accountants. Because number one, we save time in the day materially. Offer options for card spending, and provide a consistent unified experience for all company employees. And this one I can't stress more than anything, especially in a high growth and company where we as finance professionals are supporting the rest of the organization. It's so easy for the rest of the organization to, quote, become noisy around how difficult it is to file an expense report, how difficult it is for them to sign a vendor and get that vendor paid. We don't want to be dealing with those complaints, right? And so this is a way we can de-risk our execution.